Okay, we are going to be going over how to make a box plot from our 5-number summary that we did in class today. So you should have out this homework sheet in front of you, and you should have your math notebook out with your notes on what each of these things are. So when I look at number 1 and I need to make a box plot, it says how to make a box plot. We have to find the 5-number summary, the minimum value, the first quartile, the median, the third quartile, and the maximum. And the very, very first thing we need to do to find this, you have to order your data least to greatest. And you should have had like big things around that because this is the most important thing. If our data is not ordered, then it's just all random numbers. So I would actually utilize my separate sheet of paper that I need to have anyway to make my box plot, just so I have a little bit more room to kind of deal with these numbers and I can spread them out a little bit. So this is number 2 that we're working with here. So I have my data points up here. So the first thing I'm going to do is put them in order from least to greatest. I'm going to take a lot of time and be slow in doing this because, again, if I mess up this order, all of my numbers are going to be, or many of my numbers could be off. So I look through and immediately I see number 1, and I think you can't really get much lower than 1, but I'm going to check anyway. So 1 is going to be my minimum. I'm going to cross that out. Then I see a 5, and I'm going to check, is there anything less than 5? Nope. So my second number is a 5. Next I have an 8. And I cross them out as I put them down here so I know that I've taken care of them and I don't need to look at them again. And then I see a 10. Then I see an 11. I see a 12. 14. And I know you're tempting to go fast through this, but it's super important that you get this correct. So the next number I see is 17, then 19, and then 20, 22, and 23. And then sometimes just for added measure, especially if it was on a test or I only had a few problems to do, I would count how many I put in my list here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then I would count these and making sure I had a slash through every single one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I feel pretty confident that I have them in order from least to greatest and I've accounted for all of them. So when I go to do my 5-number summary, I see the first thing that I need is my minimum number. Well, that's pretty easy. Minimum means the lowest or the least numbers in my data. And so that minimum is going to be right here. So it's 1. I can then skip down to the bottom here to get my maximum, which is going to be the biggest number that I have, which is going to be over here if they're ordered least to greatest, which would be 23. So got 2 of my 5 already completed. The next one that I would do would be quartile 2, which is going to be our median. Remember, median is literally the number that is in the middle of the data when it's ordered least to greatest. I think of the connection of a median in a road, like on 150, there are medians to separate the 4 lanes of highways. Median, it just sounds like middle. So to find the median, I like to just start on either end and work my way to the middle. So here, 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 and then I have 2 numbers that are in the middle of our median. So when I have 2 numbers in the middle, I have to find the middle of those 2 numbers. This one happens to be easy. What's halfway between 12 and 14? Hopefully you said 13. So 13 is my median. If I had bigger numbers that weren't as easy, like 12 and 14, if I had numbers like 25 and 36. I don't really know what's in the middle of those, so what I would do on my calculator is I would add together, 25 and 36, which would be 61. And then I would divide that by 2, and that would take me to the middle of those two numbers, which would be 30.5. So again, sometimes it's easy and you can do it without a calculator. Otherwise, if it's something tricky like that, you simply add the two numbers together and then divide by 2 to find your median. So I don't want you to get confused. We can cross that out. All right, so now I have my median, which is 13. So next I need to find quartile 1, which means if I look at my notes, because this one's kind of a new terminology for us, I'm looking for the first quartile, which is quartiles means we separate it into 4 groups, and quartile 1 is going to be the median of the bottom half of the data. So I'm going to go from my mean, I'm going to look at the numbers that are to the left of it, and I'm going to find the middle or the median of those numbers. So 13 is my mean, so 12 is going to be included in the bottom half of my data. So I just start here, I move in like this, I move in like this. I have 8 and 10 that are both in the middle. So what is the middle of 8 and 10? That one should be an easy one. If it's not for you, take 8 plus 10 and divide it by 2, and you should get 9. So quartile 1 is 9. Now you can see that I have two pieces of data, or two sets of data. I have quartile 1 right here. I have quartile 2 right here. So quartile 1 is at 9. Quartile 3 is going to be the median of the top half of my data. Again, this is my mean, or median, I'm sorry, this is my median. So I'm going to look at these pieces of data and I'm going to find the middle of them. So I move in, move in, move in. I have 19 and 20. Again, that one's easy for me to know what's halfway between, but if it's not, I would add those two together and divide by 2. But halfway between 19 and 20 on a number line would be 19.5. So my quartile 3 is 19.5. We didn't have time to talk about this in class, but something else that you will hear about is called an IQR. An IQR stands for interquartile range. And that is basically saying what is the range of the box plot here of this middle part of our data? How spread out is that? And just like we find the range of our big set of data, to find this range, we simply find the high, or we take Q3, which is 19.5. We find the low, Q1, which is 9. Subtract the 2, and there you go. Our interquartile range would be 10.5. And again, that just tells statisticians how spread out that average middle data is. 50% of our data is in here, and it's spread between 10.5 numbers. So that's just a little extra statistics for you. You know, I like to get in a little more information anytime I can. So now it's our time to draw the box plot. And in order to do that, we would take our information from up here, and in our notes, we should be looking at this right here. We know that the minimum is going to be this whisker right here. So if number 1, it's kind of hard to show you all my pieces of paper at the same time. I can bring it up like that. So I'm going to start here at number 1, and that's going to be where my whisker goes. And my whisker goes from 1 to quartile 1, which is 9. So again, I'm just kind of picturing if this were a number line, and this is number 1, and I have to go to my maximum of 23, I'm kind of picturing what those numbers would look like in between here. So here's 1, 9 would probably, so have a 12. 9 would probably be like about here. 13, and then I would do 19.5, which is going to be pretty close to 23. So I'd make it about there. My my median is going to be the line in the middle of this box. So I connect these two quartiles, quartile 1 and quartile 3. And then my median is 13. And 13 is 4 away from 9 and 5 away from 19. So it's pretty much in the middle, but it's going to be a little closer to 9 than to 13. But we have a line that goes down the middle like that. That's our median. Here is our whisker. And here is our other whisker. So you can tell that the bottom half of the data is a little more spread out or varied than the top half of our data. You can tell that in this range is where 50% of our data is. So this is a good range of average people. And then we have our median here, which kind of separates the data into two bigger groups. And there you have a box plot. So let's go ahead and try number 3. So the first thing you should do on your own is order that data from least to greatest. Order that on your own, push pause, and check back to see if you have the data ordered the same way I do. All right, if you are coming back to me, you have ordered your data from least to greatest, and you are ready to check to see if you have it in the correct order that I have it in. So you should have 89, 92, 93, 94, 99, 100, 107, 111, 119, and 125. If you have them in order from least to greatest, great job. Now you should be able to find your minimum and your maximum easily and have those in your summary. Hopefully you put 89 as your minimum and 125 as your maximum. The next thing we need to do is find the median, which will be the number in the middle of this whole set of data. So see if you can, using your notes and using the other examples we've done, find the median on your own and check back to see if you are correct. If you are back, you should have your median found. So you should have started here, 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 here. 99 and 100 are both in the middle. So the middle of 99 and 100 is 99.5 or 99 and a half. So on this sheet, we have these 3 summaries completed. Next, we need to find quartile 1. Again, if you're not sure, you're utilizing this part of your notes to figure out how to find the middle of the lower half of the data. Push pause until you have the lower half found. All right, if you are with me, that means that you found the middle by going here, here, and then 93. 93 is your Q1. Then it's time to find our Q3, which is the middle of the top half of the data. If you are stuck on that part, you're using this part of your notes to see what we did in our example there. All right, if you are back with me, you have found the middle of the top half of the data by starting here, here, and then finding 111. That is your Q3. So now we have our 5-number summary, and so you should be able to create your box plot from these 5 pieces of information. Remember that Q1 to Q3 creates our box. The median, or Q2, is our line in the box. This is our lower whisker. And this is our higher whisker. Make your box plot and then check back to see if yours is the same as mine. All right, if you are back with me, you have your box plot drawn. You should have the whisker from 89 to 93. That's not that much variability. There's only 4 differences there, so that should be a relatively short whisker. From 111 to 125 is a bit longer, so you should have greater variability there. And then your box should be between 93 and 111, with your median being marked at 99.5, which is a little closer to 93 than it is to 111. Hopefully this helps you and you are able to do number 4, 5, and 6 on your own, utilizing the steps we did for 2 and 3 and your notes in your math notebook.